And now we are going to the very last speaker, and this is Tobias Janoschka. Tobias is already here, and Tobias is from Jenabatteries, and we are even invested in Jenabatteries, a friend of mine, so I'm very interested in what you are telling to us. And you are talking about the contribution of the metal-free flow battery to a circular economy and implications for the industry. And I think your concept is so smart. Please make also the other people in the audience enthusiastic about what you're doing. Thank you for coming, Tobias.
Well, thank you very much for your very warm welcome and your kind introduction. As our CEO, Philip Hammonds, can't be with us today, it will be my pleasure to introduce to you our new brand, CERQ. It's not just Jenabatteries anymore, but we have a new umbrella brand standing for circular economy and standing for the circular economy approach in energy storage. It will be my pleasure to show you today how with our redox flow battery technology, our metal-free redox flow battery, we can contribute not only to save CO2, but also what the impact of that technology is on certain industries. But first of all, let me underline a couple of things. We all know that companies need electricity. They need energy continuously, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And during the last couple of weeks, we have really noticed that the energy situation is getting dire and dire, that providing energy on a reliable basis becomes more and more challenging. And in particular, providing energy on a continuous basis. Up to now, that has mainly been met by fossil fuels, by burning fossil fuels and causing huge CO2 emissions. And the great challenge lies into decarbonizing energy production and doing that by introducing not only renewable technology, but also energy storage. Of course, any PV plant, any windmill you're putting out there, they do have a CO2 footprint, like pretty much any device you're producing. However, as we all know, and I think we all agree on that after many days of discussions, of exhibition fair, of great talks that have been presented on that stage, that renewables will make the change as the marginal cost of energy produced, like the marginal CO2 that is emitted, is almost zero with these technologies. So the technology is there. We can produce energy, but what's the problem here? Well, if you look at the overall situation, we are now being really forced, not just in Germany, but pretty much around the world, by economical reasons, by environmental reasons, but also by legal challenges to cut CO2 emissions. I just want to remind you, and I think it's something you have all heard before, that Germany has to cut CO2 by over 300 million tons until year 2030. Well, that is something we have been discussing for many years now. But why is so little changing? Why, if you're looking at the major six CO2 producers, these major six industries that are out there, why is it still so scary? Why have they only saved about 30% of what is needed until 2030? Well, I think the reason is quite simple. The reason is, and that is also something we have been discussing for a very long time now, the reason simply is that power and energy supply from PV, from windmills, just doesn't match up the demand. And I think we have all gathered here on this convention because we know that energy storage can make the difference here. Large-scale energy storage is what's needed because there will be no energy transition without energy storage. And we at CERQ, we at Jenabatteries, have developed a new high-tech solution to tackle that problem, to tackle that issue and make basically renewables baseload ready. We've developed the so-called metal-free redox flow battery technology. We've developed a system where we don't need any scarce metals, where we use simple organic salts dissolved in water, fill them in tanks, pump them through a cell stack where the material gets charged and discharged, and thereby basically store electricity. I don't want to bother you with the technical details. That's something we can discuss later on, or you just visit us at our booth. But I basically want to look at what we can do with that technology. Well, as already sticking in its name, it's metal-free. I'm not saying that we don't need any copper, and we've just learned earlier in the talk that there can be renewable and clean copper as well. Well, when we're talking about metal-free, we're talking about the actual energy storage material. We're using organic salts here. We dissolve them in water, so there's no critical metals, there's no critical raw materials going into that system. The system is simple, it's safe. As the basic solution is made of water, it inherently can't burn. So there's no fire risk stemming from the system. It's clean. We don't need aggressive acids. It's resource saving. We can recycle the materials quite easily. And that is one of the great advantages of flow batteries. They are scalable. They're very easily scalable. The approach is modular. We've developed a modular cell stack that can be produced on large scale. But modular and scalable also means that by a flow battery, you can independently scale capacity and power. You just need to install larger tanks, more tanks, and thereby you get more energy. If you want more power, you change the number of cell stacks installed. So you can tailor the need, you can tailor the application to the need of the customer with a flow battery, and very, very easily go for long duration storage, 4, 5, 6, 10 hours. And of course, the system is highly economical. We use very simple, readily available raw materials. You can make our materials, our energy storage materials, pretty much everywhere in the world. You just need a very simple chemical plant. You can produce them in Europe, you can produce them in Germany. And that really enables us to take out any supply bottlenecks out of the equation and thereby reliably provide energy storage. So why CERQ? What are we offering with CERQ? Well, CERQ offers a circular economy ecosystem for energy storage. We take a sustainable overall battery storage system and offer it as a service to the customer, to the energy storage world. You will see later on what that actually means. We are using sustainable materials. As already pointed out, they can be manufactured in Europe. And we are not just looking here at the sourcing of the materials, but also the production conditions. If you think about the SDGs, it's not just about clean energy, but it's also about decent work conditions and the social aspects we can guarantee within the system we are working in. We think about sector coupling. We all know that there is no battery system that can provide 100% efficiency. So there's always a little bit of waste heat generated. We take care of that waste heat. We use it and make it available. And as we're talking about flow batteries, we're actually not talking about a simple, fully integrated battery like you might imagine it from a cell phone. We are talking about large-scale energy storage machines. Systems that can be repaired, where you can take individual pumps, individual components out, repair the system, and thereby prolong its lifetime. And of course, there is a life's end, and that's also true for batteries, for energy storage systems. We think about the recycling of the system, the reuse of components, and if you look at the technology, it's quite simple. You can easily take it apart, you can recycle the components, you just need to drain the electrolyte solution and can go for refurbishment. You can take the cell stacks, you loosen the bolts, it all comes apart, you get almost pure clean materials you can easily recycle and reuse. And in the end, it's not just about energy storage, it's about the impact. And if you think about where to make the largest impact with an energy storage system, it all comes down to the optimum application and the optimum site. So we have developed an artificial intelligence system that helps us not just predicting how a battery needs to be operated, but also where to put it, what's the optimum, and what are the optimum use cases that can be stacked in order to guarantee to make the best impact with a single system installed. I think we all agree that there is a huge need for energy storage, not just in Germany, but all around the world. In particular for Germany, Fraunhofer has just recently published a study predicting the need of 104 gigawatt hours of energy storage needing to be installed in Germany alone until 2030. That is almost 100 gigawatt hours to be installed within the next 7 years. That is a significant challenge. And we have already, before that study came out, set ourselves a very ambitious, but I believe possible target. We want to have 50 gigawatt hours of installed energy storage ready by the year of 2030. And CERQ is not just about selling batteries. It's actually the opposite. With the new brand, we've installed a new business model, a new fully integrated approach. We are moving away from what Jenabatteries was doing. We're moving away from selling individual battery containers, 40-foot size battery containers, moving towards large-scale energy storage, warehouse type of installations with 100 megawatt hour capacity as a minimum. And we are not selling these energy storage systems. We are not selling batteries anymore. We are offering megawatt hours, kilowatt hours to our customers as a service. Nobody wants to operate batteries. Nobody wants to bother with where is the capacity, where is the energy actually coming from. So we take over that part. We take care of the maintenance, we take care of the operation, and we offer simply electricity and storage. But in the end, what do 50 gigawatt hours actually mean? What is the impact of 50 gigawatt hours? Well, if you look at where to have the largest impact, you have to look at the top 10 CO2 emission companies that are out there. And if you look at the top 10 carbon emitters in Europe, 8 of them are coal companies. So if you want to have the largest impact by taking renewables plus energy storage, making them baseload ready, it's replacing coal. And if you're replacing coal with such systems, you can save 43 million tons in CO2 equivalents, and that really is a lot. What else does 50 gigawatt hours mean? Well, if you stay within that example, it means cutting CO2 emissions for 98%. 98%. What else does it mean? Well, if you make electricity generation baseload ready with PV, wind, plus large-scale energy storage, we'll actually get more electricity, more efficient use of wind turbines and PV that is already installed. You don't need to turn it off anymore if the grid capacity is low. If you have to install less PV because you're using it more efficiently, if you have to install less wind because you're using it more efficiently, land will be used more efficiently. You can grow crops on the land you were putting windmills on before. If you think about whole ecosystems, that really is an advantage. In the end, all of that will lead to renewables becoming more economical viable, more affordable, and making the whole decentralized energy system ready more quickly. So if you look at the overall impact, it's about making electricity consumption baseload ready, solving the problem that was introduced at the very beginning, making sure that the timing of energy production and energy use doesn't matter anymore. In the end, thereby you will actually exploit the full potential of renewables basically and simply by installing large-scale energy storage. So in the end, I want to pick up what I was saying in the beginning. There will be no energy transition without large-scale energy storage. And I really believe that through large-scale energy storage, we will make the energy transition possible, And we at CERQ, at Jenabatteries, want to contribute to that with our metal-free flow battery circular economy energy storage system. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now or address us later on at the booth. With that, I would like to close and thank you for your kind attention.
Tobias, thank you very much for this impressive presentation. We have been discussing even during your presentation about the security of the liquids. Then another question would be not the storage capacity, but the time span you can store energy, because in Germany we have the so-called Dunkelflauten. That means in November, December, but that's the real hard time because there's little wind, there's almost no sun. So how long is the storage capacity of your batteries? Two questions: A, security; B, capacity time.
Yeah. So security-wise, I think we have a very reliable and safe system here. Of course, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of liters of liquid, and that is something that just can't be spilled. So when building the systems, there is stripping pans, there is double-walled tanks and so on to make sure that the liquid stays where it belongs, that it stays in a closed-loop system within the battery. Because really we're talking about large amounts, and even if you're taking just simple table water dissolved in table salt dissolved in water and having a couple of 100,000 of liters of that, you don't want to have that spilled. So the system is fully safe there. It's not flammable because of the water that is used, and that's something you don't need to worry about. Thinking about the second question, storage time. First of all, the advantage of flow batteries is that you can scale capacity and energy and power independently. So you can decide whether you want to have a 1:4, 1:10, 1:12 ratio. So you don't have this whole C-rate discussion as with solid state batteries. However, a battery earns money when it's charged and discharged. And the same holds also true for flow batteries. So basically, we have a system here that you want to utilize as much as possible. It's not a system that is designed for seasonal storage. It's a system that is designed to store energy for a couple of days, for a couple of hours, but not for long energy storage. However, I think we have pretty much three different energy storage technologies out there. There's lithium, which is really focused on power, short term. There's this mid-term technology, which is metal-free redox flow. And then there is seasonal long term, where I really see the power to X, the hydrogen, the methane, and so on technologies. And flow batteries can help to produce green hydrogen, because if you look at the operation of electrolyzers, you want to operate them at the sweet spot. You want to have a flat curve. You don't want to turn them on when there's sun and turn them off again when there is a cloud coming. And to steady the production of green hydrogen. That is something you can do with large-scale energy storage, and that is something we are also addressing within CERQ.
Perfect, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the audience? Or any ideas? Even maybe crazy ideas. So one crazy idea could be, as you said, you have to have containers for the liquids. Why don't we use our huge swimming pools as we have no more energy to heat them? So in winter time we could maybe use them to make huge batteries out of 2 swimming pools. Would this be possible?
Well, I wouldn't use swimming pools because they're probably too small.
I mean huge swimming pools like öffentliche Freibäder.
Yeah, and still they would be too small actually.
Okay.
However, if you look at, let's say, a lot of historical sites that are out there, there is actually a lot of tank capacity where there used to be oil or gasoline or so stored. And we have been approached by quite a lot of people who say, we have these tanks, can we use them? And of course you have to look at each individual case, but in general, yes, it's possible to kind of retrofit these tanks if they are available, and build a flow battery around that.
From in which dimensions do we talk? Is this 100 hectoliter, 200 hectoliter for a unit, or is it?
We're talking about several thousand cubic meters here.
Several thousand cubic meters. Okay, so now we have an idea of the dimension. Thank you very much of that. If there is no more question, then I only can invite you to go to the booth of Tobias and to say thank you very much for your presentation, which was very interesting, and we wish you and your company good luck and a lot of success.